The phenomenon. Spydynamics turquoise, Hawkins Scale 500, location 3. Hello, this is Chris speaking, Shores of Infinity, with a video about awakening and spiritual enlightenment. This time about a new phenomenon, which is people who are located in Spydynamics turquoise, location 3, Hawkins Scale 500 plus. It is not easy to get to Spydynamics turquoise. Our society doesn't really support that. But once people are there, they tend to stay there because they think they have arrived. I'm not quite sure where they get this idea that there is a place to arrive at, that there is a final station, state or stage. So I had a deeper look into what drives people who are have their center of gravity in turquoise to think that this is what enlightenment must be about. And what they have almost all in common is, from a viewpoint of other scales of consciousness, that they're on the Hawkins scale between 500 and 550, or sometimes a little bit higher, between 500 and 600, and on the Jeffrey Martin's Finders locations in location 3. The Hawkins scale 500 to 550 is what I like to refer to as the love phase, because you feel universal love, which is of course what we were told that enlightenment is all about, in religions at least, and some mystics. And then location 3 is also religious awakening. It's the experience of being able to feel God or gods or the divine or goddess or whatever, something divine. So these three fit well together: turquoise, 500 to 550, and location 3. They don't have to occur at the same time, but they sometimes do, and then those people to who this happens often assume that this is it. There will be some more videos in the near future about certain stages where people feel they're done. This is it. This is the end of the journey. And turquoise is often the first of those. And even in the original Spydynamics model, turquoise is of course the last color, but that is only because Clare Graves in his lifetime didn't get any further than this in his investigations. And he met too few people of turquoise or above, or second tier, stage 2 and above, so he grouped all of them into this group 2.2, which we now call turquoise. He never claimed that this is the last stage, but it was often understood as if it were. So what do you experience if those three come together? Location 3, Hawkins scale 500 to 550, and Spydynamics turquoise. It's a feeling of inner peace, of joy, of being one with the planet, one with the divine. Often the first cities come up, healing powers, for example. A lot of healers or founders of healing traditions are in this stage, like Viana Stibal, the founder of Theta Healing, and many others. When they founded their tradition of healing, they were often in this stage, in this constellation. Now it is a nice place to be, but it's not the final station of our train ride. On the Hawkins scale, for example, we have numbers up to 1000. The Finder scale about 18, that makes sense. And Spydynamics, we have 6 colors in the second tier. Or if you choose the Ken Wilber version, at least there are 6 colors after green. There's nothing wrong, of course, with staying in turquoise, just as there's nothing wrong with staying in orange or green. There's no color is better than another. Only if enlightenment is your goal, that is not it. On the other hand, of course, why should enlightenment be your goal? There's nothing there to get. There is nothing to gain. I heard an interesting definition of enlightenment recently, that enlightenment is to find the loopholes in the matrix, in Maya, the spaces in between. So as long as we have a body, we're not, and we cannot be completely free of Maya, but maybe we can find the loopholes and be less restricted. Or if Sri Aurobindo is correct, we can find a connection to something greater than Maya, outside of Maya. We may not be able to exit it, but we may be able to connect to something which is greater than Maya. And both these explanations, I think they fit quite well, because being in turquoise 500 location 3 is still fully in Maya. It is the greatest sleeping pill in existence, the greatest pacifier in existence, because you get a new delusion. Your old delusion gets exchanged with the new delusion of being done, of having arrived, of being enlightened. So to assume that you are enlightened and are not is the greatest distraction of all. So how can you know? If that's true, you might ask me, how can you know if you're enlightened or not? It's actually quite simple. As long as there is still any kind of feeling of you being a person, you're not enlightened. For example, something that is very common among those who are in turquoise 500 to 550 and location 3 is that they're proud that they have arrived. Pride is not something that can happen in enlightenment. Pride is useful to get out of the first tier, out of Hawkins Scale 200 and below. But in all spiritual stages, it is not useful. Location 3, though, is in some degrees not a spiritual stage, it's a religious stage. So in religion, there's no problem, of course, to be prideful. You become a religious zealot. You fight for your beliefs, or for the beliefs of the sect or group or religion you're in, and try to convince others that this is the best way, this is the way to happiness. And indeed, you could say that this is the way to happiness, because enlightenment has nothing to do with happiness. Enlightenment has something to do with freedom and independence, and not being attached to or identified with anything. Least of all your own personality. So I would recommend to you to always keep on searching. If you're in a stage where you think, okay, this is it. On the other hand, as I said, it's a nice place to be. Maybe it's better to stay there and enjoy. Thank you to all my patrons, and thank you for joining me as a patron. Thank you for liking and subscribing. It helps others find this channel, and see you soon.